All right, all right, all right. What's happening? Cuz, what's up?
Man, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
It is what is it? Always sunny in Cleveland, always sunny. Whatever what was the name of that show?
Oh,
So
it's sunny.
good
It's always sunny in Philadelphia,
yeah, always sunny in Philadelphia. Well, it's damn sure always sunny in
Puerto
your neck
Rico.
of the woods.
That's for sure. Yeah, man, we had a really exciting week this last week. So
Yeah, man. I haven't got a chance to catch up with you. Let's man, what you talk about
yeah,
the who's who of taking over the island, man. What fill
yeah.
us in.
So first of all, El Conquistador Resort was where this meeting was, and this meeting happened to be probably the 20, I think the top 25, maybe 30 influencers in the company, along with the entire upper brass, including Glenn Sanford. Everyone was here, which is a sign, right? That there's a reason. There's a reason that they're all there, and I really respect the fact that they include us, of the voice. I feel like we're not the only agent voice, but we're part of the agent voice of the company, especially when it comes to growth, and that they include us and consider our opinion and how we feel and making decisions, as a billion-dollar company, multi-billion-dollar company, and have been doing that since day one. And so I think that was it was really good. James and Brent did a great job of putting on the mastermind. I think we all came in there with differing questions and feelings about different things and whatnot, and all, certain challenges that we're all facing as we're trying to grow. And so that getting things kind of off to the right start, and in that mastermind format of how are we gonna all communicate and actually get something done here was I think a little bit more challenging. But we brought it all together at the the last day and executed on. I think there was 10 takeaways that, and a couple of them I don't have context on. I'll go through them here in a minute, but there was some big deals that got done, big things that got decisions that got made. So I'll go through a few of those, and some of them are not completely final. So take this with with the.
Before you share, I'm always wanting us to kind of unpack principles and things, how people not only get some information here, but also get some things principle based that they can apply to how they structure their organization, their leadership, things like that. And a couple things that stood out, I think is really important, is that, the upper brass allows you and everybody feels that you guys have a voice.
Yeah.
And share why that's important within an organization, and we can give our principles, small to medium size, and just because I think it's really important for everybody tuning in that will with us right now or will listen to this in the future to get the principle of that what we're talking about.
Yeah. So there's I mean, this is the principle, and we've known this in growing companies, but I even felt it as a part of going through the process of getting alignment. And unless you're able to give your feedback and that be considered for how the company is going to maneuver, make decisions, and move forward, you don't feel like you're a part of the process, and to a certain degree, you don't feel like they may care about those issues that you're dealing with. And so when you think back to NAEA days and we did the SWOT analysis, the individuals did their SWOTs, and then they did that with their management teams, and that all flowed up to ultimately reviewed at the highest level of management in the company, and their voices were heard, right? And so those were and their proposed priorities were heard. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, and this was one of the things that I brought up, as everybody was masterminding on different topics, and it was starting to feel like we weren't really going to wrestle any one thing down to the ground. We were all gonna, we all had these different topics that we were talking through. But what was the takeaway going to be? And if it wasn't in alignment with what the company's priorities were, then it really didn't matter what we did. And so to me, it was important to understand what is the company's current priorities for 2022, so that we can align which of these things, problems, opportunities that are what we should really be focused on as it aligns with the resources of the company and where resources are going to be poured in from a company perspective. And so So that was, that's just the way I think about it. Right. And so, but one of the topics was a SWOT analysis. And that was one that I brought up. And it ended up, Jason Gessing liked that one, and Dave Kennord and a couple other, pretty intelligent, and some of the upper brass ended up at one table, and we were doing SWOT analysis. And it's difficult and it's somewhat challenging because everybody wants to go dive deep into the topic instead of just get them up on the board, right? And so, like, if you haven't gone through this process, it can be slowed down quite a bit. Like a talk in between.
It's a great moderator to be able to keep everybody on the path, and like, hey, we're getting into the weeds. Let's stay up here. Let's get it out. Let's get it out. So it takes a great moderator for everybody listening in to be able to execute this, especially with as many personalities and strong opinions that you guys had.
There was no chance. I wasn't signing up for that job. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was a full table of alphas. They were going to go as long as they wanted to. I just tried to get us, to the next topic, as best I could. But what was cool in going through the process, I said, when we sat down, I said, Jason, I would love to know what the priorities are for the company for 2022. What are the current priorities as you see them, and what's the biggest opportunity, or what's the biggest problem that you guys are working on trying to solve? And ancillary services was the answer. And to me, what that means is, in ancillary services is huge. Okay, so ancillary services is mortgage, it's title, it's lead generation, which that's a huge opportunity for us to also get capture rate on mortgage. So us being more like an op city and lead generating for agents and providing those leads to agents that use our mortgage company, Success Lending, which is rapidly opening across the country. It's a huge deal. And so we discussed some strategy around how to get alignment. All the alphas in the room are not going to move over mortgage companies tomorrow to use Success Lending. But the reality of it is that when you looked at what the potential capture rates were, get rich on a spreadsheet is what I would call this exercise we did. But
sounds like it.
Yeah. But if you look at all the opportunities in ancillary services, and then you look at what the margins are in the companies, what the company's margins are, and you look at how much, as again, you go, we're 70,000 agents, and now let's look up next year and we're 120,000 agents, and then the next year we're 180,000 agents. Now we're the largest company in the world. 180,000 agents and no capture rate on mortgage is not that's a big opportunity, because we're going to be doing next year, I think we estimate 600,000 transactions. You don't have to have the greatest capture rate for that to be a meaningful piece, a meaningful revenue stream to make that the focus, because now you're looking at, you're increasing, this is J. Abraham 101. You're increasing the average dollar per sale, because now you're capturing on mortgage. Now you're capturing on title. Now you're capturing on transaction services being provided to agents. So that's a high margin business. The lead gen aspect is a huge piece of the puzzle in terms of what that could possibly be in terms of referral fees back to agents, and then also capturing on mortgage. Like, all of this was, there's a lot, and it's not going to be, all of it at once. And it's starting with mortgage, and probably lead generation is probably kind of, dovetails nicely into that as the best strategy. But that's a tremendous percentage of the overall profit, and we get half of that in revenue share. So, what we were trying to determine was, how do we package this up and talk about it where people understand our opportunity at EXP isn't just in the revenue share program, which essentially is, with the buffer as it was, we're gonna lose that language and not use the buffer, because the reality is we could be getting more than 50%, meaning we could be getting more than 2,800 on the front line. The reality is the lowest it could ever be, if every single person had unlocked every single level in the company, it could only be half. It could only be 1,400. That's the lowest it could be on level one. So you're going to make 1,400 to 2,800, depending on how much we're able to create through these ancillary services. And if the company is determined it's the number one priority for them, for their half of the profits that go drop to the company's bottom line, then we probably ought to get behind how do we support and get behind this as well, because it's going to happen now.
Yeah,
that's just the big takeaway is, you don't have $1 billion company and point at a priority and not get something done. Right. It's going to get done. And so, now we need how do we help accelerate that as the influencers in the company? That's really what the whole flavor of the conversation was about. And I think it and going through, hey, well, we can focus on this, or we can focus on that, or we can focus on this. When Jason said, ancillary services is the number one priority for the company, then it became super clear to all of us that was, that became the priority of that meeting, and getting some clarity around what is called revenue share plus, which is, it's revenue share plus ancillary services, 50% of all ancillary services that the company creates, which over time, $100 million, we talked about it the other day, but coaching for Keller Williams is $100 million business. So, I don't know what the margins are. It's probably a lot less margin on the coaching, but all of that contributes to probably $50 to $80 million in additional, profit to the company, which is a meaningful amount of profit from an investor perspective, which is a meaningful thing for the stock, which is a meaningful thing for all of us. And we get half of that revenue over into the revenue share. I mean, we paid out 170 something, I think it was $170 million in revenue share this year. And it's just going to double as the company continues to grow. It's just going to double and double and double. It's just going to keep growing. And so it was fascinating, fascinating meeting. It was difficult and challenging, I would say, to put on a meeting like that and get the hot-headedness, to subside a little bit in some people's perspectives, and to get everybody into alignment and all be tugging in the same direction. But that, James and Gene and Brent were able to facilitate that in a way that's what happened. And so it was, some people might not have got the wins they were looking for, but I think there was enough wins that were given out that you had to feel good about it. So, it was fascinating. But yeah, it was, I think the inclusion and the feeling included is what, everybody walked away feeling like, hey, we got to say our piece, and here's where we landed, and I feel good about that, right?
And that's so key for, as you're growing your organization and you have a room full of very driven alpha D opinionated personalities. If they can just walk away feeling heard,
yep.
Is so powerful. Hey, at least I got to get my point across. I felt like they understood where I was coming from. Now I understand a couple things, and because we have such a kind of where with this conversation, there'll be people that are not a part of EXP that'll listen to this, and what I want to make sure that they take away the principles behind it. One of the things there, and I don't know if you went a little bit deeper with them, but hey, ancillary services, well, as we know, when we go through the proposed quarterly priority process, we come up, or even the key initiatives for the year, we look at and we ask ourselves, well, what's the reasoning? What's the rationale behind that? And I didn't know if you were able to, and I mean, I don't want to, I think I know what it is, but yeah. I would love to, if you were able to just ask that question, if they were able to shed some light, hey, this is why this is so important. This is why this is number one.
Yeah. It's because of the amount of revenue, additional profits it adds to the business model, right? So when you look at what the valuation is of everything's gone to shit right now in the marketplace, but when you look at what the valuation of EXP is, when it doesn't have at scale, which we are scaling up like crazy, faster than any company ever has, you go look at Remax and look at their 10K that they report. You go look at Rheology. You go look at any of Compass. Any of these companies, they have ancillary services that they have executed on, it is a certain percentage of the overall profits in the company. Maybe it represents 15 or 20 or 30% or 50%. In some companies, I think it represents more than what the actual commissions are that the company earns. And so ancillary services in some companies' business models are not to profit on the commission, the agent commission income, but to benefit from the back end services and ancillary services. And that's where that is the business model. Mm-hmm. And so, it's such a big percentage of overall profit that, when you look at, like I said, it's J Brand 101. This is, you got 70,000 agents, and blink 2 years from now, you got 180,000 agents, and your capture rate and mortgage is at 10%. You're doing a shit ton of revenue in that area. And the sooner that we implement this and start getting a capture rate in certain marketplaces and start to scale this out across the country, then globally, I mean, these are all, things that apply internationally as well. it's just it's a big percentage of the profit. And from an investor standpoint, that's going to drive up the value of the stock, and everybody here is a shareholder. So this is it's all a win-win. But my takeaway for that is, if you guys don't understand that half of that profit comes into revenue share, that we could, to offset that, offset the difference that we have that's being paid out, the 50%, if it's not paying out enough to cover all of the revenue share as a percentage, then this is going to go towards that. And so, he didn't have to give that to us. Like there was nothing that was ever said that, hey, Glenn, give us half of everything else you create inside the business model towards everybody who helps grow the company. That was something that they gave us and decided to give us a couple years ago. And, he didn't have to do that. And so, that's, to me, that was, you definitely want to be grateful for what you have and try to take advantage of it. But yeah, I think the principle is looking at how this company is going to be valued in the future, the additional revenue streams, as a percentage of the overall profits this company has, is going to drive up the value of the stock. In my opinion, that's the reason why it's become a focus.
Yeah, no, I love that. And everybody listening in, you have to remember, and let's go back to the model itself and what Glenn did, in the beginning, and he just applied the same concept, the same principle to all the ancillary services, is that compensation drives behavior. And so, if there's an understanding that the more adoption of these ancillary services provides additional profitability, which gets then returned back into the form of rev share, compensation drives behavior. You get quicker adoption, you get people on board when you understand really what's going on here. You said a key word just a second ago I didn't want to let slip, and it's just because I'm listening to Ryan Holiday's book, The Obstacle is the Way Again, and he was talking about perception. Yep. And it's how you choose to look at it. And most people are coming in with the blinders on, and they don't know, because they haven't mentally conditioned themselves enough, like going to the gym, getting on the bike, getting in the water, going for a run. It's the same thing mentally and this is the question, you and I, you helped me with this question. What else could it mean? And that's perception. And that's one of the things that we get to choose, right? Like, we only have a couple things we're in control of. And if you follow Stoic philosophy, they say there's only one thing that we have control of, and that's over our mindset.
Yep.
And our thinking.
How you react to it.
Yeah, how do you react to it, instead of being able to step back and go, okay, well, what else could this mean? What's really going on here? And remember, everything's always layers deeper. So I love that, we're having this conversation and unpacking this, because, it's one of the biggest gifts. And Michael said it in Aspen. I think it was Aspen #2 Mastermind. And the question was asked or something, and he said, you know what? The most powerful thing that we will ever do for any of you in this room is change the way you think. And that has resonated with me. Like, I vividly can see him saying that, and the snow in the background in that amazing room in Aspen. And that's one of the many Mike-isms that will never leave me. And it's the truest thing. Right. It's the greatest gift that we could do with anybody that we work with, that we come in contact with, is change the way you think, challenge your thinking. Mm-hmm. And as we know, cause so many real estate agents, man, they don't know how to think big enough. Yep. What is it? 95, 96, 97% of real estate agents can't get past, they're not thinking past the next commission check.
Yeah. Yep.
So, being able to be in a situation to where you just do what you do, and you're going to make more money. That's the power of ancillary services. Yeah. And being able to, because it's the cost to acquire a client. This is why we talk about this all the time. And you're giving your clients away to these ancillary services and not getting anything in return. When you put in all of the energy and effort to acquire that client, and what did we find when we started working with Jay? 80 something. I think he has over 100 something now. Ancillary services that have the door open to be able to get a bite of the real estate transaction apple. So think about that. Mm-hmm. How much money, because agents can't see it because they're so close to it. There's money literally right in front of them.
Right.
And they
And so,
just don't see it.
yeah, no doubt. So one of the things that Carlos said, that I just thought he had a great level of awareness to come from this place. But he said, I've got a mortgage company and a transaction that, I got a company that I have an arrangement with. But he said the amount of money that I could be getting in revenue share that I'm not getting because we're not that fully to the 50%, is so meaningful that it might make sense for me to forget about that measly money and align with Success Lending. And he's right, by the way, that the profitability from us all getting in alignment with Success Lending, the value that it contributes back, not just to the stock, but also to the revenue share program, is in not all cases, but in many cases, going to be more than what you're probably getting from your lender currently. Yeah. And so that was just, a point that Carlos made. He said, I want to understand this, and how to get involved because, he believes that. And so, it was cool, man. It was a good group of people. I love Hunter's question. Are you saying you're not an alpha, man? That I think just my level of awareness, you know what I'm saying, as an alpha, and having been in rooms like that lots of times, and having to manage some rooms like that sometimes, you just have a perspective of understanding what they're thinking and what they're doing, and what how we got to a certain place. And so rather than me try to push my biggest problem onto them to try to get solved, I'm more there to listen than I am to try to push an idea across the table. And so, I don't know. I think it's just experience maybe, but
well, I mean, 100%. That is it, right? Because we talk about this all the time. The formula to change is there has to be an awareness, and that's the thing with most real estate agents. They don't even know there's a problem because they don't have an awareness to it.
Right.
And the quickest way to create an awareness, especially when you have a room like that, is to lead one of those rooms.
Right.
Then lead that room again.
Yeah.
Lead that room again.
And you ain't lying. Yeah.
You just know how to.
Experience than I do at leading that kind of a room, and
gotta be water.
Yeah, that is definitely how you would do it. And
gotta be water.
It's funny you say that because I think you would have had an appreciation for Brent and what he was trying to do, and Gene and Stroop. All they were frazzled to say the least, and trying to drive to the end zone. And it was not. It wasn't as smooth as maybe some people would have liked to have seen, but I thought it went well because I saw how it kind of corrected itself and got to the concrete. And so these 10 things that I'll talk through some of these. So
let's raffle through. Perfect.
So one thing that one of the changes that was proposed, and this has to be approved by Courtney Chakran, our CMO, because it's not just as easy as changing the name. But there's a lot that goes with that. So the way this may or may not roll out is kind of questionable. But I think I think we could all start using this using this terminology, and it wouldn't be a problem. And that's to change EXP world to the EXP metaverse. And when you think about it, that's a freaking gangster move, right? So the metaverse is the new buzz, right? I mean, Facebook, changed their name to Meta. The future is the metaverse. This is all the buzz, and I think we want to adopt that language for what we have and what we've been leveraging, which is the metaverse. So may not, but I think the language in the that's our. This was a little one, and
I'm losing you, cuz I don't know.
So
a generator's about to kick on.
Yeah, it's been worse lately here on the island. Even though the temperature hasn't changed, the weather hasn't changed, and also the internet service has not changed either. So a URL from phone to the world. So I'm not sure what that is. They want a URL for something to get access to the world from your phone, I think is what it is. So that's something that they put on there, but which makes sense. Go straight to a URL. You can save it on your desktop and go straight to the world.
It ain't easy to get into the world. Like I've got I'm speaking to operation development team today. Parker had set that up. She had, they had invited me. I had spoke to the leadership team a couple months ago, and they were so jazzed. They're like, you got to come talk to all of our department heads. And I'm like, I'm
Nice.
in. And she said, so I sent her a message. I said, yeah, so Zoom link, what are we doing? She goes, oh, nowhere in the world. I was like, oh,
There we go.
okay. All right.
Better download that again.
I know, that's what I had to do this morning.
So
I like that easeability to get in there would be great.
Yeah, that would. Yeah, that's an easy one. And this was another cool thing is, when you have Jeff Whiteside in the room, which is the financial component of whatever Glenn says yes or no to, right? So like they get together on, can we do that? Is that a problem? And Glenn wants to say yes to something. Whiteside says that's not a problem, and then it gets done right then and there, decided upon, right? So like there's not this bureaucracy of things that have to get done in order for some decisions to get made. And Glenn was able to do that on a couple of these other things that I'm about to share with you guys. So there's some changes to the my EXP dashboard. I'm not aware which we talked about a lot of different things data wise that we wanted to see, that we have been wanting to see for a long time. So those are all getting done now. Revenue share plus. So that was the narrative. So there'll be a new narrative on the revenue share program plus ancillary services that kind of shows that in a way that's, more accurate, I think, than the way that we describe rev share program now. Marketing pieces for production, the 2022 marketing plan. I have no idea what that is. Marketing pieces for production. I think this is more around the leveraging the production side of agents that we have and what they're doing, and making sure that we're able to leverage that. Because we have some of the top agents in the world. Some of that stuff has not really been produced for us to get access to. Marketing top, who's the top in each marketplace, that kind of stuff. Let's see, Jeff Whiteside building more info on the back end. That's really, I think, more to do with the dashboard. This is a big one. So international, no company position in select countries. So one of the challenges with international growth has been there's a company position between us and another country, and then let's say even like Puerto Rico, for example, if we bring someone in Puerto Rico, there's a company position in the first spot in between. So your level one is the company gets, and then so you only have 6 levels. Well, if that person in Puerto Rico recruits somebody in Florida, then there's another company position in between that. And so we've had a lot of leaders. By the way, I looked through, we have over 300 international agents within our group right now. And we're in I don't know if we're in all 18, but it looks like we might be in all 18 countries. But as I was looking through that, but those are significant as you bring on some leaders in a new country, and they especially North America, you might have someone in Mexico that joins and then recruits another influencer in the United States. So that that is not, it's not 100% clear how they're going to do it. There's going to have to kind of create a map, because Dominican Republic is considered North America, or is it, right? Like, is there going to be so there's some clarity around it, but it's definitely and I agree, Puerto Rico should not be considered international. For sure. Yeah. So agreed with that. And so, so that there was quite a big, that was quite a big little thing. And they said, yeah, we have no problem with that. And so
they're going to remove the company positioning.
They're going to remove the company position I'm going to say in inside of a continent, within a continent is what it boiled down to. So that's something that'll be coming over the next few months, and it'll be retroactive too. So.
Gotcha. Okay, that'll be good. Because
So
I know
deal if you've been recruiting in countries and you've got an info.
Yeah, there are a couple people that are really focused on the international side of things. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
That makes good.
Right.
That's
so,
good.
Yeah. So,
well, too, cuz I think it's the things that I think one of the key takeaways for everybody listening in here is that sometimes you just don't know what you don't know until you get into the weeds, and then you learn.
Yeah.
And then we got to iterate, and you can't sit back and wait for it to be perfect, because it'll never be perfect.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of agents get tripped up, is that they want, it's this way, it's that way. It's like, well, we ain't gonna figure out what it is until we know what it is.
Right. But that's the cool thing. Once again, even I didn't think would have never thought about that scenario happening the way it does, and
Oh,
and how it could impact, how it
yeah.
could impact growth. And so, and same things like in Europe, if you're over there and you're in France and you might, recruit someone in Germany, there's not going to be a buffer in between there. That doesn't make any sense because you can still support, there's still that support there. And so definitely those were some good positive changes that were made there. So Glenn committed to not raising fees. There was a suggestion around this, I think, as it related to fees. And Glenn was just a real clear that's not going to happen kind of thing. And so you don't have to worry about fees getting raised ever, probably. I think that's the reason that's on this list, is because he clearly stopped it.
Unlike the tactics of other companies out there that
100%.
are giving away free things, but behind the curtain, those fees are going up.
Right. Yeah, that's and Glenn's aware that's the fastest way to to kill growth is to start raising your fees on people and nickel and diamond agents, and that's not going to happen.
You don't jack with an agent's money, period.
Yeah. So let me get this last couple, and then we'll kind of discuss. I see a couple of comments there. So retirement lock-in. This is something that we've been asking for a long time. It's been loosely kind of put out there, but we really haven't had anyone retire. Right. And so like part of the value of revenue share is that this is your potential retirement. And so we haven't kind of taken ownership of being the first company ever to retire an agent, and they have revenue share that they're going to get forever after that. And so Curtis Johnson brought this up, and I thought it was an excellent point he was making, is that, we say that we have this, but we haven't retired someone. So we need to retire someone and celebrate that retirement, because it'll be the first time in history someone's retired from real estate with something meaningful in terms of the revenue share that's continuing to pay them. And so that the way that works is that whatever level you're at for at least a year, that you can retire, and you can get the level below that and all of your revenue share from a level below that for the rest of your life. And so that's a huge deal, because the reality is that most of us aren't going to retire, and we're going to continue to attract agents and try to stay, get to level 7 or stay at level 7, because it's it's a meaningful level. But at the same time, if you stopped recruiting, over time, your attrition of agents would drop you down, and you would eventually go down levels, and you would eventually either have to get back into it, or you would have to hire someone to do it or whatever. But and so that, there's that feeling of, hey, I can stop if I want to at some point. So for the old folks, that's a good one. But I thought it was meaningful because someday, shoot, who knows, I might want to retire. I doubt it. But so that was a good one. And then that was a real big one actually for a lot of folks, I think. But and then this last one was the Maui Invitational. I'm not sure when that is, but there's another event coming up in Hawaii that I think Brent announced. So yeah, that was pretty much pretty much the discussion points, and great meeting. Oh, dude, you have to come, and we have to play golf at El Conquistador. It was the most fun golf course I've ever played.
Where's that in relation to you?
It's right on the northeast tip, which is basically right there where all the islands are. It's where all the marinas are and everything. So it's an hour and a half drive for me, but it was a Waldorf Astoria, and it's been closed down since the hurricane in 2017. Never really fully came back online. It just kind of, the golf came back online first, and then they opened up like 300 rooms. But this place is massive, and it's just a beautiful resort with incredible views. And the golf is just, the landscape. I mean, you're golfing from the tips, and I mean it's a drop of 300 yards down, you know what I'm saying, and then back up the hill. It was so deceiving, when you're playing like what club to play, like, yep. And there's no, we didn't have any way to, really
gauge,
to have any none of their golf clubs. Yeah, we don't have any gauges, so it was like I have no idea what club to hit here. And it was just fun. We love it. It was a challenging course for sure.
Sounds like it, big time.
But it was fun, man. It was great. So yeah, man, good times. We did a boat trip out to Culebra and Kubla Rita. So me and Al and Amber and the kids got to do a boat trip. Kids loved that. That was fun. But yeah, it was good, man. It was good to get out, out of the compound here and see the island. And boy, it's beautiful out there. So
that's so cool. So cool. So that's over there closer to Gene and Brent and all them.
Yeah. It's closer. It's much closer to them.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man. So awesome. And there's a lot of key takeaways in there for all of you guys listening in, and how the company is structured, things to model after. You're looking for, key principles that allow sustainability inside of, the organization. If you guys aren't familiar with the core values of the company, you can see where a lot of decisions are being made, right? Community, sustainability, collaboration, transparency, integrity, innovation, agile, fun. It checked in service, but I would say out of just the conversation that you just shared, 8 of the 9 core values were checked.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how you know things are in alignment. That's because that's how we behave. And core values are an indicator of behavior. And are you being in alignment to who you say you are, your shoulds and should nots? And just listening to you and then looking at those core values, 8 of the 9 core values were checked. In my just quick listening of what you just shared, that's powerful. That's when you know the company is moving in a known direction and why the momentum is where it's at.
Yep.
Freaking
One
cool.
other good little note to pass on. So we've got this presentation and this rapid funnel thing that we're rapidly working on, and so we just did another revision of the video, and we got the testimonials and some of the really important pieces in there that are, man, it's good. So it's just so much better with that stuff in it. Just gives it a lot more color and context. But so that thing's getting close too. So we're still a couple weeks out. It's a process, and we're gonna hit the target. But there'll be 2 versions. We're going to use the same one, the EXP for independents and teams. We're going to doctor that up a little bit. But that presentation is definitely the best one. We couldn't outdo it. We just need to update it a little bit.
And this is going to be a fantastic database, marketing tool for everybody to utilize for agent attraction.
Yep, absolutely. It'll be it's going to do all the heavy lifting, and everybody's going to love it when they see it, because there's nothing like it that exists.
Here's what I would, even if you're not at EXP and you hear this conversation, why it's important to always be looking for talent. I think, obviously it's always easier looking back, but I think one of the things that we did not do a good job of out of the Lawton office was we did not focus enough on agent attraction and looking for and always be recruiting agents. I know we used to, let ourselves off the hook. Hey, we're in a shallow talent pool. Hey, we would make a lot of, I don't want to say excuses, but maybe it was excuses, but we let ourselves off the hook and we were like, well, we're just going to make our agents more productive. And we did, to the best of our ability. And I rode them like Shetland ponies, but you're only going to get so much out of them. And man, I tell people that all the time. I'm like, where's your agent talent attraction funnel? Like, where is what ads are running? Where are we at? What are we doing? And it was one of, I think, we learned a lot. We made a lot of mistakes, but we iterated fast. This is one of the things I think, man, I don't know. I wish we would have done a better job at really kind of cracking that. We just never gave it. We tried, but I don't know if we tried hard enough. I don't know. I know you have a different take and perspective on it, but that's one of the things that I always kind of, I wish we'd have done a better job of.
Cut out. There we go. I'm
back.
Yep. I missed that last little part.
Yeah, I was just saying, I'm sure you have kind of a different vantage point from it. It's one of the things I wish we would have just focused on a little bit more, because whatever we focused on, we nailed.
Oh, yeah.
And I just wish we would have done a better job at always never taking our foot off of the talent.
Yeah. No doubt at all.
Yeah. So I guess my whole point was this tool, no matter what you're trying to accomplish, you always want to be looking for talent. And it sounds like got a great tool here that's going to help you look for talent. If you want a team of, 15, 20, if you want a team of 100, doesn't matter. You've always got to be looking for good people.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah. There's an expiration, there's very few Reedies and Staces out there in the world. Most people in this career, they transition on. And, I was proud that we didn't lose many people to competitors or staying within the marketplace. We lost people moving outside of the market.
Yeah.
So that always made me feel good. Our little test, and this was always my exit interview question with people was, do you feel you're a better human being leaving, now than you were when you first got here?
Right.
That was my only question that I cared about asking them.
Yep.
Do you feel you're a better human being? And every one of them, absolutely. Like, you changed my life. Like, I still get messages every now and then from people just thinking, they're like, I got a message the other day, like, man, I wish I would have listened to you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody, they learn, they take a few years later, they learn a lesson.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Hey, we got a few questions we want to maybe touch on here just to give a little insight and clarity. And then we can wrap up this fantastic conversation. So I guess the one question would be, can people talk about this outside of EXP? Can what was shared today be talked about?
Yeah. So, there was a few things in that room that we weren't allowed to really share. Nothing that we talked about here is really, I think, a part of any of that. So I don't see any problem with, again, these are all things that are not officially executed on, but they're in process of continuously being evaluated and executed upon or put aside. So that's just kind of where we're at with all that. So if if it's meaningful and you want to share with someone, I would do it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think it's good to know, when you're doing your due diligence and you're talking to people and you're trying to figure out what they're trying to do, what they're trying to solve, what their problems are. You just know what's coming and being able to say, well, yeah, that's not going to be an issue. I had a great conversation with Renee right before this. And, she's learning to find out what people value. And I said, you've always got to say, yeah, cool. We can absolutely do that. So for example, she doesn't have the ability to do a brand overhaul for somebody. And that was important for an agent that she was recruiting, saying, hey, I really need to overhaul my brand. This agent over here told me they would do it for me. And so what Renee said is, oh, okay, we can do that. She couldn't do it, but she had a solution that she could get somebody over to do it for them.
Right.
And I think that's just a great understanding, is like, yes, sure.
Exactly. It is understanding that no matter what challenge that someone has within our group, we have the ability to help solve it. So
100%.
This is a unique, it's a unique opportunity where there's really no situation that if we can figure out how to transition, no matter how big they are or how small they are, whatever their goals are, they're more likely going to accomplish it at EXP faster, easier, better, in a better way than not being at EXP. So it's, everybody's coming. When we say everybody's coming, it's because there's really not a good financial reason for people not to come. And so it's exciting, man. I love it.
Yeah, we absolutely believe that. And, if you believe that as well, then it's one of the things I was talking about on the leadership call yesterday, was that, and we were talking about people that had larger brokerages. Todd Schroth was saying that he's got a 35 broker, and I said, hey, we've always talked about people agents that have roots, right? They've been in a location, they've got a larger business. They're like a tree that has deep roots. You just don't go and yank that tree up. It takes some effort. You got to tug on it. And I said, well, maybe a better way to think about it, because we talk about blue marlins and blue gills, is that you got a blue marlin on the line. You just ain't yanking and reeling that dude in right away, right? It takes some effort. It takes some give and take. It takes, working and being patient. And that was just it really framed it up well in my mind. And I think it framed it up well for those on the leaders call yesterday, that, hey, sometimes you got somebody that has a little bit deeper roots. Think of them as a blue marlin. And, you just ain't reeling that dude in right away. You're going to have to give and take and put some effort into it. For sure.
Absolutely. It's a great analogy.
So we got some questions fired. Let's do a little rapid fire here to kind of wrap up. First recruit, and what did we do to use to attract them?
Yeah. So first person that showed up in my, I'll tell you the first two because it was pretty, it's pretty interesting behind it, how it happened. So the first person was Carlos German, and Carlos he was in my EXP enterprise, signed up before Mike was even moved his license over. And I was helping Mike move his license over. Carlos was the first one. Now, Carlos was someone that we introduced. If you break it down to the principles, we had a relationship with Carlos through our masterminds and coaching and things that we've done. We introduced it to him. He took an interest in it. We invited him to the live event that we went to, and we decided to join. And he made the decision to join with us. Andrew Gaidosh made the decision to join with us. But the principle there was we invited them to a live event, which we were going to ourselves, and made the decision, and they both came to the conclusion they were going to do it too. The person that introduced me to it the third time was Al Stasic. Obviously, he's our business partner, and he had asked me to look at it for him and his perspective. And so I was looking at it to say, hey, is this better for Al, or is this not better for Al? I wasn't looking at it thinking I was going to join a brokerage, because I couldn't think of in any way, shape, or form why I would ever join another brokerage being independent. And so I was looking at it with a closer eye, and I was looking at, is this better for Al or not? So this might be better for Al. This might be also better for us. This platform like that, the gate of the mind was open to, okay, well, if we were going to do this, what would that look like? And so when you start asking questions like that, you start to see a solution in front of you instead of an obstacle. And so, yeah, I think that's the answers to those two.
Yeah, and I think the thing to listen to here, guys, if you just picked up what Jay just shared, third time. So just because you show it to somebody and they don't get it the first time, that's okay.
Yeah, the second person to join was Juan Ponce, and he actually was one of the few that joined that never spoke to me. Very rarely has that happened, and so he actually watched the announcement video that we did when we joined, and literally went straight to EXP's website and signed up. And so again, going back to the principles we teach for agent attraction is, are you doing announcement videos? Are you doing that with each person, telling their story, doing those interviews?
Yeah.
We did that for 3 years straight, tons of them that are out there, and people still call me today from videos I did 3 years ago. And that's an inbound strategy for recruiting. So that's that was the benefit of someone who I didn't know. I don't know how Juan knew us at the time. I'm not sure if I don't think he'd ever coached with us or anything like that. I think he was more of a cold prospect, but he went ahead and was like, this all makes sense to me, I'm joining. So he joined. And so that was the second person that joined outside of Mike with me in the first month. And so that was the rest of it.
Yeah. Low-hanging fruit, people that you already have relationships with, you've got to go after them first. It's no different than your real estate business, right? The people that know you, like you, love you, trust you tend to be a large percentage of your business, repeat business. And so, Carlos is somebody that had been with us for a while, and he trusted us. And so when we were making moves, he was paying attention, and he was seeing how it could help him accomplish what he was accomplishing. I guess those couple other questions, Juan, got in the newsletter. Yeah. It's so powerful, right? It comes back when the first thing I was thinking about as you were talking, when I saw that question, what method? I think it's consistency and content. You look at, at the forefront of video, at the forefront of, email copy content for decade, and being able to just build goodwill and trust. And so a lot of people come in and, they want to go fast, but they haven't put in any time to add value.
Yeah.
And so it's how much value and deposits are you making it into the industry and into the community and into other human beings that, when you go to present an offer, that, you've got some goodwill, you've got some trust. So I think content for me is always the way to go. Mentors. Like we can go old school mentors, but is there anybody that you're paying attention to right now? I know you're focused on some other equity, bigger things.
Yeah. So, part of my 2022, plan is building my wealth advisory board, which is,
Life team.
Yeah, it's your life team, and that's something that probably should have been more of a focus earlier on, but it's definitely more of a focus now. But I wouldn't say that's mentorship. That's definitely an area that I'm learning and growing in. So spending a lot more time in different books. Actually, I went back to a book called the Happiness Hypothesis. I'm not onto that one again. I don't think I ever actually got through that one, but it's really fascinating.
Yeah.
But mentors, yeah, I mean, like different stages, we've had different mentors. I think from a business growth perspective, Jay Abraham was a big part of that. From a marketing perspective, Frank Kern and Dan Kennedy were big parts of that. From a finance and business model perspective, Greg Crabtree was a big part of that. So at every stage of growth in your business, and this is kind of, John, I know where you're already thinking, is like when somebody says, "Hey, what book are you reading?" The first question is, "What problem are you trying to solve?" Yeah. And at different times in your career or your life, you're dealing with different challenges and all of the 5 equities of life. It's not just only in business. There might be something you're dealing with relationship wise, and you're growing in that area, and you have a coach in that area. And so in different places, you want to always look to who is your mentor, who are you mentoring with, who are you coaching with. Coach Burt is my coach currently. We're doing a couples retreat. So those of you that aren't signed up, I'm pretty sure that they sold all the spots out, but that's it's called Living with the Monster, which is Monster Producer is really the
coaching program. Yeah.
I think the reason Amber was willing to sign up is because she sometimes probably, but so those are that's something that we're always working on, right? And so different phases of life, you're dealing with different challenges. So I think mentors change as you grow and develop in different areas, and so that's a long-winded answer to who are our mentors. We have a lot of them in a lot of different areas, and currently my coach is Coach Burt, and he's coaching us up to a higher level.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, I mean that is the answer. You got to get clear. And man, it took me for a long time to really why did I overcomplicate this and keep this simple? And when you're trying to develop in kind of that happiness triad of health, wealth, and relationships, if you're trying to get better in all 3 buckets, and you got certain stages and certain problems, you're going to find a mentor that's going to get you through that next phase. And sometimes you're fortunate enough to find a mentor that you could ride through a bunch of different stages. We were able to do that with Jay. We were able to do that with, Clayt Mask was another instrumental, leader and voice and mentor for us. Vern Harnish, really got our head around the right way to be, strategic in your business, and what's the cadence, what's the rhythm, the foundation, the fundamentals. And so, yeah, I mean, you're 100% spot on. It's just like whatever, whatever equity of your life you're trying to grow, you're going to find somebody that's going to help you through that. And it's, mentors can be now. You can have a mentor from the past, and they don't have to be living to still be a mentor. You can definitely tap into the Jim Rohns. You can tap into, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, who has a tremendous impact that resonates with you, aligns to who you are at your core, and can help you overcome whatever challenges. That's always my kind of push and recommendation if anybody trying to figure that out.
Yep. Cool. So good questions. Thanks for the comments and the questions, guys. Awesome.
Yeah, 100%. Cuz we're at the top of the hour. I know we've got everybody off and running and really building some traction and some momentum heading into the new year. So as always, we appreciate y'all. We wish you guys nothing but the best. Let's have a powerful week and stay plugged in. It's the way we can help you guys the most. So we'll see you guys next time.
Right. See you guys.
Make it a great day. See you, bud. Bye.